It says in this Parsha, "V'lo yischadlu Shem Kodeshi." Pasuk Chavei Lamed Beis. Question: in Europe, there was this. The Spalin came to shul in the morning, and Rahman al-Islam, there was a vandalism that happened at night with nice European style, with swastikas and stuff. The secretary was sprawled out on the floor in the shul, and they called the police right away. The police said they will investigate. And the Yidden wanted to go into the shul to pick up the Svarim. Sefer Torah was on the floor. The cop said, "You're not allowed to touch anything until the investigators come." And they said, "Show me the Sefer Torah." The cop said, "Look, if you go in and touch a thing, that's fine. We're not going to investigate the crime." Oh. Sounds like something that would happen in Europe. So when the investigators themselves are anti-Semitic, so they asked the Sheilos, are they allowed to leave the Svarim, the Sefer Torah, sprawled out on the floor or not? The answer from Eliyashiv was that the din is that the person is carrying the Sefer Torah on the chamoyer, and he's scared that they'll be stolen, so he puts it under, he wraps it up, he sits on the Sefer Torah, as long as the Torah will not be stolen and Yizbazah. So he said, Kolchkin over here, if they'll catch the vandals, then they won't do it again. There's an interesting tshuva from in the Igros Moshe about a similar Sheilah, a very, very similar Sheilah, and sometimes a lot of Sheilas are very similar, very interesting Sheilah. And they asked him if they should do it, if they were doing a demonstration against Netuchim Meisim and Eretz Yisrael. So they asked them several shilas about the demonstration, and one of them is they wanted to make a strong point that they wanted to bring limbs from that they were being used in the hospital and to pick it up at the demonstration. A little bit gory, visual. What are they called? Visual effects. Visual aid. They wanted to bring it to the demonstration. I can't believe that such a shilah would even been asked. You would have thought the answer. Yeah. And Moshe said, not only it's mutter, it's a mitzvah. Good idea. So, if you don't believe me, turn the page.
If you think you're such a kanoim, I'll show you what real kanoim.
Yeah, exactly. It's in Yeridea, Chevet Beis, the Igros Moshe, the tshuva is Kufnu. Oravi, we mutter lahavi eivarim largona. ודברי מותר להביא איברים לארקונה, שזה יאשר רוישם יויסר על הציבור לעוס סעורת ציבוריס משום שאין אדם משמיע לראייה ויואל לבט לגזירה. Moshe says, הנה מצינו וכאי גאבנה בקרוי בפילגש בגיבה, שניתח איש פילגש שנעשה על ידי אינו אנשי בליאל ליוד בייז נתוחים בשולחם בכל גבול ישרול שיעשה רוישם על כל ישרול שילכו לעשות דין לאנשי בליאל והמסיים מויסה וגם של הידע אוי דובר כזה. What happened? That there was the Gemara, that says in the end of Shoftim that there was an Ish Echad and he had a Pelagish. I'm telling the whole story because I'll be Nageya soon to several pieces of the story. So the pasuk says Vatizna Acharav, she was Mazana, which we'll talk soon what that means. And she went away from his house. Then he, after 4 months, he decided he wants to be with her again. He went, he appeased her, he stayed at father's house, and father was so excited, they got together, he said, stay another day, finally after 2 days, he said, no, I'm leaving. It was already dark, he wanted to get out of his Shmer's house already. He said, okay, Genug is Genug. He said, but where are you going? Don't worry, I'm good, I'm getting out of here. But he wasn't good, because it was already dark, and he couldn't, there wasn't no way he's going to get back to his city, so they were going to stop in Yevusi, which is Yerushalayim, but there was a Goyish city, he didn't want to stop there. So he stopped in the Giva, which is very close by, which is the land of Binyamin. No one welcomed him in the house. And although he was a wealthy man and he had all the food with him, all he wanted a place to sleep, no one was interested. There came in one old man, but really wasn't from Binyamin. And he said, sure, come to my house. And he insisted that he wants to be a host, he wants to feed him. The people of the city came to the house and they demanded that the old man allow the just like in the story of Sodom, that they wanted the gentleman for Mishkav Zachar. So the old man said that please, just same like Lloyd, same story. I have a daughter, yeah. But the Violet, this fellow, when things got heated up, picked up his pelagish and he took her outside, and she was left for the Anshe Bliyav, and they tortured her all night.
To save his own skin.
To save his own skin, and the Anshe Bliyav tortured her all night. And in the morning, she came back to the house and she was sprawled out on the floor, as if she was trying to get in, but really she died. When her husband opened the doors in the morning, he picked her up, put her on the donkey as if she was alive, and he left the city, went back to his own city, sliced her into 12 pieces, sent it to all the shvatim, and he asked that they should all come for a meeting. So he didn't say what the reason was. So it really had the desired effect, and 400,000 people showed up at the meeting. Yeah, and he explained what happened. So they sent a message to Binyamin to saying, we, produce the people, the sinners, we want to judge them. Binyamin said, no, we're not going to produce them. So the Bekitza, things heated up very quickly. They went to Pinchas, they asked in the Yudim Betumim who should go up for Mulchama, Yehuda Yala. They went out one day, 25,000 Eden were killed. The next day, 18,000. Third day, they were so exhausted, they said, should we go? Are we going to succeed? David said, today you should go, today you will succeed. They wiped out Binyamin. They killed every living thing of Binyamin besides 600 men that managed to escape.
Any women?
Everyone was killed.
Even the women?
The women and the children.
But it was the men that did that very well.
I know, it's unbelievable. Everyone was killed. Even the birds, that they could catch a bird that was flying. They killed.
And this is with the Ratzon, of...
Apparently.
Or Maturim gave it sanctioned it.
And then they made a shvua that no one will give their daughters to marry
These boy men.
Right. Then they had charota and the whole thing. How are they going to produce 600 girls to marry? Since they all made a shvua, and that's not negated to us today. Akaponim.
The Gezer is lifted. It's like a yantif part of when the
Shabbos with chamishas.
With chamishas, yeah.
So the shaila is, how is it permuted for him to go to cut up the woman? Now I would say this guy is a nutcase. But
he got 400,000 people to come to the meeting.
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. It was a good stunt.
Yeah. And Moshe says we can learn a din from here. It's funny, it's not usual that you learn a din straight out of the Tanakh.
Listen, if Hashem was upset, he never would have had this from return. So apparently Hashem was Marsov.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the Meforshim say it's like a terrible thing. Such a thing should happen by Klal Yisrael.
They weren't moicha.
And they weren't moicha. And they were, not only that, they were like the chutzpah. They said, we're so that was a terrible thing. So
is there any previous shot? What they were like? Was it like?
I don't
these
know.
were tzaddikim. I mean,
the
none was the shayvit that was saved with Yehuda. There was only 2 shvatim that didn't go to the goals.
Right.
Yes, if you take away all the bad guys, you get a shayvit from good guys.
No, but the thing is,
if you weed only 600 left.
right. The thing is, it's an incredible thing. Because they were the sin of Binyamin was not that egregious. The Bnei Belial did the egregious sin. The Bnei Binyamin were arrogant, and they said they're going to protect the criminal. That was their sin, which seems to be not so deserving for such a punishment. In this case, when the Fruma Yidden did nothing, the Avodim already cut apart. Instead of burying it right away, they'll wait a few days to bring it to the demonstration. שפירש הביזיון שיהיה בלוקי מורה, זה הביזיון, שמקום הכמות לצורך ביטל הגזירה, על ידי שיעשה זה רשם על הציבור. אבל צריך לידע, אם היה איש אדם כושר, ויש לסמוך עליו שיעשה כדין, שאין ללמוד ממנו שלא יהיה אדם כושר. Who says we can learn from him? Maybe he was not an Adam kosher, so you can't learn from his ma'asim. V'ayim begitin dabov, sherev Yosser Omar, avatizna olav pilak, zvuv motzala. Rev Yonasan Omar, nim motzala. The Gemara says, what does it mean, vatizna olav pilak? So there was a machloikis, Rev Yosser and Yonasan. One said that he found in his food a fly, so he got really angry at him. That's what started the whole Shalom Bayis on rocks. And the Rav Nosson said he found it here. He found it here in the food. He found it here by Yisei Mokim, but he found a nima here. Why don't you say like in our Parsha we have znus? It means mamish znus. Because he wanted to remarry her. If it was real znus, he wouldn't remarry her. So we see that it was clear to the Gemara and the Poskim, the Rishonim, he was a kosher man. That's why they didn't. Why is the whole machloikas that Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yonasan? What was this? It says what is she's znus. She had extramarital relations. Was znus. No, they didn't learn that because Ebazoi, how could he remarry her? And therefore, Mazamachloik is what happened. The Gemara Pella Rashi repeated Sheshoftim, but Adak Shapir Sheshoy is Nus Mamish Hepach Gemara Rachenis and Redvad Pergalat Mamloch. Pella Rashi that he entices that it was Mamish Nus. How could Rashi do such a thing? Vade ein lochish to devrem ladina. After Mastama Motza is the medrash is Nus the Vade Masha Mufurish Begemara. The Dan Iker Neger Masha Nimtza B'Madrasha.
What happened exactly? There was a guy that took the Pelagish to give him.
And
he was a bad guy. She died. But who are these two?
The Gemara says that if Yonasan and Rav Yosef have machloikas, the pasuk says that the whole story started because she was mazan under him, and then she left his house. After 4 months, he went to appease her, and he wanted to remarry her.
That's the Pelagish.
On the way back home, when he remarried her, the
So
story
she was dead.
No.
Oh,
What
before
happened
he took it
before
to
he took it?
Binyamin.
Right. What happened was that what happened was she was mazana, and then she went to her father's house. After 4 months, he went to appease her.
But they were married at the time?
They were married. She was mazana.
Pelagish.
She was a Pelagish.
So they're not really married.
Oh, so that he's going to say
Not
later that even though she's not 100%,
She's not allowed to be resigned.
she's not allowed to. Not that Apidin, you can't kill her for that. But the minig was today we don't have pilakshim, but then when there was pilakshim, the minig was to treat it like a real wife. So if she was mazana, they would divorce her and so on. She was treated like a real wife.
Right.
So that's why Tosfos says it couldn't be so that she was really mazana. Because if she was really mazana, why would he go after 4 months
Get her back.
to get her back?
Right.
He would not marry her. The Moshe says maybe he was a Rasha, he didn't care that he was mazana. Muslim Zog that he was not a Rasha.
Right.
And that's why the Gemara has a machloikis. The Gemara must say that it was not really znus.
Right.
Why? Because the Gemara must have held that he was not a Rasha.
But the pell thing is that he left it to die later.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
What a bad guy.
He might have not been a Rasha, but
Yeah, but it wasn't a tzaddik.
yeah.
He gave it to the people that do whatever they wanted with it. They killed her.
Right.
So he's an accessory to her. He's a Russia himself.
Right. So, but apparently Chazal didn't see
He
it
wasn't
that
that bad of a Russian. Up until then.
I don't know. But no, he cut her up afterwards.
No, but that he did because he wanted to show everybody how bad they were. It's Binyamin.
Still kind of cool.
Still,
Kind of twisted.
for sure. Listen, he's running around with a
The whole
leg.
story.
How good can he be to begin with, right? He's running around.
There was a
Why did he run around with a married wife?
Now that itself,
Why
before
was she
you
running
say
around with
this
Pelagish?
story, is one of the reasons why Pelagish died. They realized that Pelagish is not a good idea.
Because
I would say not.
second
class.
Put it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and
supposed to
we
get
are in a
married to a
situation
woman,
like this,
she should be your wife.
and I know from the
What is this
Torah
like?
that Lloyd did such a thing, so mainly if I let her out, she's
Fleeing,
out of my
fleeing.
house, she's like divorce, it's not what we are used to do, but at the Torah, it's the right thing to
but
do,
still,
and he didn't
like,
think
he
that it's
feels-
gonna be so
Right,
bad.
right. Could be he didn't think they're gonna be that bad. He didn't think that they're gonna be so cruel. Or maybe he thought could be Malamet Tzvus. He could say many things that Tanakh doesn't say. Could be he thought that she's a woman. They're not gonna. They might be crazy, and they want him for Mishka Zocher, so they're already nuts people. And they'll see a pretty woman. They're not gonna bother her. They'll let her walk back into the house.
Why do you think that would appease them anyway?
Why?
It's Mishra
If
Zohar is an
they're
available.
queer, what do they need a queen? They need a king.
So that's what he maybe. I'm saying maybe that's what he thought. He thought that will break up the tension, and then everyone will go home for the night.
They're realizing they're playing with fire.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna.
In this case, this Mishra Zohar is for sure Madeira. I say, and this, if he lets her out, she's not his wife because she was
Yeah,
not
well,
to begin
look,
with.
right. Anyway,
So,
all
She's
of
not allowed to be Mazana either.
Not as a Znus anymore.
Was she a
no,
Yid?
but
She was
Mishra
a
Zohar is
Yid?
worse. Yeah, sure.
She was a Yid.
Yeah,
So she can't go. If she's a Pelagish, what's her Avera? If a Pelagish does is
there's
Mazana,
no Aveda.
it's no Avera.
Not
What
Aveda.
is she a Zaina?
She's not a Zayna.
Maybe it's Pekuach Nefesh, that we're all gonna die. You have to think of something, you just did that.
It's like you would.
He thought
how
even
could
about
the
them.
Canadian be
What's
like the
worse?
science?
We're sure that Bailey hours.
So
he was okay
The Bailey was protected to make Bailey hours.
Well, after they slept with her?
No, after we sent her out,
Right, right.
she was probably with someone else.
No,
right?
it was
No,
not.
she wasn't.
She had
She wasn't in Father's
This
house.
was built on the Yemen's Chelik.
But the question was, what the Torah says she was Mazana. What it means Mazana. The Gemara says that there wasn't really Znus. It means that they had a fight in the house. Either he found a hair somewhere, he found a fly. So he says, "V'nechem," 4 lines from the bottom. "V'nechem Hashamar Abayit Rabbi Yosef Hu Damaskim." Interesting. Just before I continue, it's interesting Gemara. What is Mazana? So Machlokes said Rabbi Yosef says he found the fly, and they started fighting with her. And the Rabbi Yochanan said he found a hair. So the Gemara says that Rabbi Yosef bumped into Leonovi, and he said, "What is the Rabbi Shalom doing right now?" So he said the Rabbi Shalom saying that if Yosef, if Yosef, my son, is saying the pshat is that he found the fly, and Yosef, my son, says that the pshat is they found the hair. So Rabbi Yosef says that Rabbi Shalom doesn't know what happened. He needs our pshat. So he said, "Elo ve'elo div elokim chaim," and it's precious to the Eibishter what you're learning. So the Gemara says, "Okay, but elo ve'elo, but how does that happen?"
Maybe they found both.
So that's what the Gemara says. He found the zvuv, but he was not makbid. And then he found the nima, his anger got really bad, and they started fighting, and she ran away from the house because he didn't treat her good. So the Gemara says, from here we learn, lo'elam al yad el odam ema b'tech beisei. And if a person, because this guy got really angry, so she ran away, and then everything followed. The person should be nice to his wife.
The Gemara says the Gemara says it was sakana. Really got more over there. What I'm saying, because that was his mamish sakana. It could do damage to. There's a sugya which says no, when there's a hair over
The
there.
hair was sakana. That's why he was mad.
Why is the hair a sakana?
I don't know. Daisha says
That's how it was. Yeah.
it's hard to know what the tether was in those days.
I mean,
In those days,
lice in your food?
no. If there was hair, the women, Jewish women, you always took away the hair by Osei Mokum. Why? Because no, it was dangerous to. I don't know. It's hard to understand what that means. It was dangerous for the man if the woman had hair there.
Okay.
And the Gemara says that Jewish women never had hair by Osei Mokum until the Korban Beis Hamikdash. It was a punishment. And the only Jewish women that had were those people that came from Yefas Toya.
Oh.
So
That's he thought she wasn't Jewish.
no.
That's why he got angry.
No, he knew she was the daughter of a Bas Toya, just like Amnon and Tamar.
Why did he get angry at her?
He got angry because she was supposed to
remove it.
and she forgot to remove it. So the
The
Gemara
second anyway
says,
is supposed to be dark. So it shows that there were also
maybe he felt it. He felt it because apparently, according to the Gemara, the Bnei Yisrael after the Churban was that they always took off the hair by Osei Mokum. And Meforshim say there must be that the hair in those days on people's bodies were much stronger than today, and therefore it was shayach that a person would get damaged so badly that he would become a krus shavcha, and therefore a Jewish woman will always makbid to take away the hair. We don't know what that means because it's not shayach b'zman hazeh.
and it's fact that it wasn't just one Sarah, it was more.
No, the Gemara says nima, one hair.
One in wow.
Must have been very thick hair. Well,
Must have been very, very. If it was, it must have been like steel wool. Steel wool. There's different levels of steel wool.
if it could make
Must have been like
it could make like this.
Okay,
Wait
yeah.
a second, if that's the case, then she would have need like these to get it off. What do they call these things?
No, they used to take him off.
They
Just
take it
like
off.
no.
I remember
they used to
learning.
take-
pliers.
I remember learning.
Do you know
They're so
the
small.
days of
How
the
could it
Gemara
be
from today?
so
Nothing
strong?
changed in this issue. They used to have a
The underwear
method
was
of how to wax
made
hair
out of
off
steel.
the body.
It wasn't made out of like made
With hot wax. Hot wax. Just like it's done today. No different. probably didn't use exactly the same products, but they used some type of product that they would heat up,
Right.
and they would put it on the thing, and then they would rip it off.
This is very painful.
And this man is that's painful too. That's why we say every morning Sheilos on Isha.
That's probably only one reason. That's only one reason.
No, this machloikis is not good. Why are they machloikis? Because of this, because it's mamash nageya. Whether he was more of a rush or less of a for a ziv, that's a kleinigkeit. He saw something
Right,
in the
right,
food.
that's-
This, but if you go and see this, then there's more of a reason to go.
Tosfos asks that what do you mean? How could they? Elio says that Elavelo Divil Chaim, but it was not true.
Right.
Lachoida, even both things happened, but the anger was only over the here, because that was legit. So what is the pshat that the Abish is saying that they're both right?
Build up.
No, the Moshe has another answer, not a builder.
First he
Keep
bugged
answering.
out.
No,
Then he
listen,
spoke
read
in.
it. No. The Hiksha, Maram Shif, the Kivin Elohim, my asking Ikke, the Dochik Bazeh. So he says, the answer is the Kavona, Shehiskim Morehu, Al Shechim Nushneim Ha'emes, Shoya Ish Adam Kosher, Veloy Pirshu Kepash, Shlosel Matizna, Shuznus, Shal Zekiv Nushneim, Rev Yosef, Rev Yonis, and Lo Ha'emes. The Moshe is a beautiful text. The Yochanan was saying that the Eibishter said that Rev Yosef and Rev Yonis were both Machavan Al Ha'emes. When it says Batizna, it wasn't Znus, that there was some anger in the house, some fight, but not Znus. Now, what exactly was the fight? So, there were two things that happened. But the main, when she stormed out of the house, was the story with the Nima, not the story with the Zvuv. But that's not negay, that's small potatoes. But the ikid is that they were both machavan, that really, she was a kosher woman and he was a kosher man. And why is it critical to know that they were both kosher people in our story?
Because you can learn from
We
it.
can learn from them. If she was a mezana and he remarried a zoina, what could you learn from that? You can't learn anything from that. So there were not. But if he was a kosher person, she was a kosher woman. So from the story you can learn. So therefore, the Moshe Maskana, we learn a din that over here that there was an Israeli Hafganah from the Tuchem Mason. They should bring the avodim and they should pick it up and they should make a big tumult in the.
I remember.
How you can be a
No, I remember the Satmar Rebbe was involved in this too.
And what did he say?
No, he was involved that they should be a big
It's not a big.
Just because he's a kosher guy.
No, I'm trying to tell you a chiddush. It wasn't.
How's that a riot? Just because he's a kosher guy. There's plenty of kosher people that do Averis. All the same Binyamin is something.
It's still, the Tanakh tells you a story.
Not even 3 years old.
And unless you think, I guess this is what Moshe is thinking.
We can learn from the story that all of Binyamin, if a person sees something, he's a Balaveir. If he's not with here.
Sure. We do learn the Moshe say that that's the big thing we learn from it.
Every single person in Binyamin deserved to die. Every single one.
Well,
Don't you have to be medactic? See, did you see it?
No,
Did you know
but they had the right because they asked the Urim V'Tumim.
that they could fight them?
Right.
Not just they were saying,
But
no,
fighting
don't
means-
come, we don't want to fight, you're right.
So you're saying fighting is master, wipe them out.
Well, they asked.
If they can fight them, or can wipe them out.
Well, war means that you have war.
Everybody.
So that was.
So the fact that they showed Shevet Yudas because they were kshev, so therefore they could do this milchama.
Could be, or maybe, who knows what the pshat is. Why, yeah. The thing is, it's interesting, the Moshe finishes off with a shaila. The Tosfos brings to say that Olam, that Muhammad was in Shabbos. So he asks two big questions. One question, he says, how were they allowed to have the Muhammad on Shabbos since it was all about a din? They said that these people committed a crime of killing a woman. So we want to be done. And the Sheikh is, so it's a din. You're not allowed to do a din in Shabbos. He said it's not Mochamis Mitzvah. So I don't understand the Shaila of Moshe. What do you mean it's not a Mochamis Mitzvah? If you go to the Urim V'Tumim and you go to Pinchas and you say, what should I do? The Rebbeinu Shalom says, go to war. That's not called a Mochamis Mitzvah. So what is called a Mochamis Mitzvah? If the Eivusha tells me to go to war and that's not Mochamis Mitzvah, so what is Mochamis Mitzvah?
Or do they have to ask first, or is Mochamis agree that told even before they ask? So you know when they ask.
Why should you say that? If the Rebbeinu Shalom says the whole pilpul, the shaila is Mochamis Mitzvah is when it's in Eretz Yisrael, or even a Chutz La'aretz if you're defending the Jews, called Mochamis Mitzvah. If you start trying to conquer land, because Stam is like David Melech wanted to conquer Syria, so that's called Mochamis Rishus. But if the Rebbeinu Shalom tells you, the Urim V'Tumim says, go war. And that's a mitzvah, because Elof Tishmo, the Eibushter said, to do, you have to do. So I think it's a Vada was a Chemes mitzvah. Another thing, he says, he doesn't understand B'chlal, this thing of Shabbos. So the time is short now, another time and a night. There's a very complicated Rambam, the laws of war, if you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. Right. The Rambam says that Loi Kovshu Yericha El B'Shabbos. The whole thing of Yericha was only on Shabbos. And Rabbi has 4 or 5 Sheilos, he doesn't begin to understand. He says, first of all, what do you mean it only happened on Shabbos? 7 days they surrounded the city. So, what do you mean, like, they started on Sunday? The din is that if you started the siege 3 days before Shabbos, you have to start a Mechemes Reshus. So, if you started, you could start the siege 3 days before Shabbos, and once the war starts, you could do it even on Shabbos. He says in Yericha, they started. No, he's saying, how do you know from Yericha that you could start a war even on Shabbos? But they started on Sunday, and he has more cautious in the Rambam. But there's a beer and nifl and a lag ba'omer fabrengen with the Rebbe verämpft the Rambam. It's a schwere Rambam, and the Rebbe verämpft the Rambam very nice. Mamish pafla v'pela. All the cautious and Moshe and Mamish get. But then one of the nekudas the Rebbe has is that there's 2 things. There is a siege and there's a war. The siege is not a war, and a war is not a siege. So they started the siege on Sunday, but when did they start the war? On Shabbos. So we see that on Mechemes Mitzvah, you're allowed to start on Shabbos. And what's the Inyan? Why do you have to start usually a Mechemes Reshus 3 days before Shabbos? Because there's a big pach, and the Shabbos is supposed to be tranquil. So if you start the siege more than 3 days before Shabbos, so then the soldiers are a little more calm. But
it's like traveling, no?
It's similar like traveling. You're a little more calm, like on the ocean. After 3 days, you're a little more calm. Therefore, a siege and war is ein aroich. A siege is you're a little nervous when you make a siege. You calm down after a few days, but a war you're much more nervous. So Madach, they were allowed to start the war on Shabbos. Koshkein Mechemes Mitzvah, you're allowed to start the siege on Shabbos. And that's how the Yerushalmi learned it, and that's the pshat in the Rambam. And then there's more diukum. The Rambam, the Rebbe's verämpft.
Lady Gorelick once told me that when he was in Italy, the Bacham decided to take a mitzvah tank, go around the wall of the Vatican, hoping the wall will come down. But it didn't come down.
They didn't blow the shofar strong enough.
They didn't go 7 times.
I don't know, they went around, but it didn't work.
It's so big that it's happening, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They did the beginning.
The foundation's a little bit.
The Jewish cardinal Lichtenfeld from France walked over.
Okay, so let's wrap it up.
Can you say one more reason? Because when did they bury these limbs?
Presumably after they got them.
Oh, so maybe the burial of the limbs was dependent on the milchama. So that's a meis mitzvah. You have to bury the limbs right away. They waited. They wanted to go right away so that they could bury the limbs.
No, but it's how the.
So
the Oilam calls it a Mechemes Mitzvah. How
How
could they say the Oilam call it a Mechemes Mitzvah? He says. What was the mitzvah
He
here?
said the mitzvah was to uphold Torah in Klal Yisrael.
What do you mean?
How could you delay that? Why would you want to delay it? Every second you're delaying it, it's like...
The question is that the definition of a Mechemes Mitzvah is to conquer lands in Eretz Yisrael from the Goyim, or to save Yidden from the Goyim. That's what the Moshe's question.
Where's that defined? In the Rambam?
Rambam, yeah.
Oh.
He's asked,
This is before the Rambam. This
doesn't matter, the Rambam records the dinner.
But maybe
The Rambam says that Mechemes Mitzvah is when Yidden are attacked by Goyim, or you're conquering parts of
This
Eretz
is like
Yisrael.
attacked by Goyim. Because they're attacked by Goyishkeit. It's nus, it's really from a Goy. It's a
Pockets a Goyishkeit, but they're Yidden. There's a difference. There's a Shedim, no Yehudoyim, a Shedim, no Chroyim.
So you can't say
But I said simple. What do you mean? The Eibushter said it's a Mechemes Mitzvah. The Eibushter said
it's Eitz, right. Eitz Vaser is a Peros Torah Secha.
The Eibushter said for sure it's a Mechemes Mitzvah.
From the
Eibushter said
Uberturim.
The Eibushter
So
said.
what was the Moshe's
I don't
Shayla?
understand the Shayla. And further, he asked, how could the Rambam learn from Yerichoi that you could start a war on Shabbos? They started it on Sunday. But the Rebbe explains that what do you mean? They had the siege
On
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on Shabbos, Nochem Cholent, they went out with the shofars and they did the final hakofas. And that's when the walls came down. Who told them to blow the shofars on Shabbos? Why didn't they wait till Sunday? Is that raya that when it comes to Mechemes Mitzvah, you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. And not only allowed to do it on Shabbos, there's another beer from the Rebbe that the Lashon Yerushalmi, Lo nichba she'yericha el b'Shabbos, teaches us that when a Yid goes on Mechemes Mitzvah on Shabbos, it's not a desecration of Shabbos. That's a chelik of Mitzvah Shabbos. Shabbos itself is begging the Yid. Shabbos is begging the Yid to go have Milchama. It goes into the general thing. You know, if you read this week, the story of the week, how the Rebbe, it's interesting how the Rebbe had such an influence on people in Israel in government. And he said that the Rebbe that it had the whole opinion of what they should do. This is 1984, how they should handle Syria and Lebanon. And this guy thinks, had they listened to the Rebbe, this was Yitzchak Shamir who didn't listen. The Rebbe, but the Rebbe said they should withdraw. It's like always we think. The Rebbe said we should withdraw, but before you withdraw, you should go very deep into Lebanon and Syria, and with Yad Chazaka b'Yad Rama to kill all the terrorists. Do it very quickly. Yad Chazaka b'Yad Rama, ruthlessly, and then to retreat completely to Israel. Chasal said the Pesach. So he says that
84?
Yeah, 1984. He said Shamir didn't listen. Right?
But Lebanese war, but Lebanese
The
war.
big Hanoi, the biggest Hanoi of them all.
But he says there was very a lot of pressure from all countries in the world. The Rebbe said, forget the pressure. You just got to do the job. And if you do the job, but it's just interesting how the Rebbe had like a very strong thing. And this was the Rebbe's word, that the loy nichba she'yericha el b'Shabbos, that the Chazal is saying that it's not that it's mutter to go out on war on Shabbos and be machal Shabbos. The Shabbos is begging the Yid to take the Kli Zayin and to have a Machemes Mitzvah on Shabbos, and that's the Kiyam of Shabbos.
What do you think Rav Moshe would answer? I mean, obviously he knows that it said that Rambam terms that they go. What do you think he would answer?
I don't know. I think it's a Tanakh story, so I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea why he wouldn't call that a Machemes Mitzvah. Why he wouldn't call that a Machemes Mitzvah?
We know what they went?
No, I'd say maybe.
Oh, we know for sure they went on Shabbos, right?
That's what the Seder Olam says. The Seder Olam says it's Shabbos. Seder
Seder
Olam.
Olam.
Rabbi Yosi, I think, wrote it. It's a medrash.
Oh.
One of the Tanoim wrote it.
Maybe Rav Moshe had a different medrash that said.
No. When it's brought in Tosfos, he's just asking on the Seder Olam, how could you call it a Malchemes Mitzvah? And then he's asking on the Yerushalmi, well, whatever, what's the pshat that Leinich b'Shirich el b'Shabbos?
What's Sefer in the Tanakh? Is the Legesh Bagila?
It's the end of Shoftim. It starts from basically, it starts from Yud Tes till the end. From Perek Yud Tes till the end. Anyway, back to our story. This makes sense that they, especially if there was a Sheval Tassid, that they should leave the Sefer Torah on the floor and let the investigation go on. The truth is that there's a famous goy who said that if you go today in Berlin, there's a place where they burnt a lot of those they burnt books in 1933. The Nazi Party made a gross book burning, and I don't know if it was Kristallnacht. I don't know if it was
30.
Yeah. And there was a goy and who said in the place where they burn books, they'll burn people. Now there's a plaque there. So the emes is, another thing could be said, that these crimes have to be treated seriously, because these people, they start with small vandalism. Where they burn books, they burn people. And therefore sometimes to investigate these crimes are really pikuach nefesh. Next. I have a shayla here. Unbelievable. It's just like something came into my mind. Years ago, there's a shliach in Cyprus. Shliach, the size of 3. He's a Raskan from Eretz Yisrael. He told me, we were at the same age, we were in camp. He said he said he was once in Israel. He was on a bus, and he said it's Israeli. Started to argue with him. He says, "Maza kipa zeh? Eifo katuv shetzarich kipa?" So this guy with Afun says, "Ma, ta lo yodea? Katuv b'Parshas Emor, tilbash kipa l'roshecha, titbayesh, ta lo yodea." And the guy said, "Slicha, lo yodea." So now I was just thinking about
I
this.
missed that one in English.
The guy asked him, who says you have to wear a yarmulke? So he said, what do you mean? Aren't you ashamed? It says clearly in the Torah, you have to wear a kippah on your head. And the guy, being ignorant as he was, he said it with such confidence that this Israeli said, "Oh, I'm sorry."
He didn't know.
He didn't realize that he was talking no posik. So I was just thinking about this. Does it make sense to do such a thing? In general, it's like a larger Sheilos. When you're Mekadav Yid, they ask you something to the Sheilah. And technically, you can answer it some. Obviously, what's the problem here? You start telling the guy that it's a mitzvah, that abonan, it's a minig. The guy's not going to look at what's talking the reason of wearing a yarmulke. Look in the Alter Rebbe. Kosev v'shuchanor chat meira zoke. Midas chasidish shelo leilach dal damas begilu rosh. Gam biyameim. Shroi v'omo yirgin leilach l'pamim harbe begilu rosh. Nei achoim b'yomim ahim. Na'achshem. B'zman hazeh shekulan darkim l'chatzas rosham. Lo oilam aser leilach leisha v'afilu begilu afilu leisha begilu rosh. Shum tznius shereze kemagala b'sore machusa. V'gam aktanim nochen l'chatzas rosham. Kol shkem medinas elo shanochim nogel legalos roshim Yisrael kedoshim nezharim bazam shum tznius ken ahoch. Oh, I feel like Yoshev Gil Rosh Kamei Nochri. And there's over Malav the book of Same Place Alech. Now, that was Machadish that there's three reasons for wearing a kippah. Number one is in those days it was a midas chassidus as Yiras Shamayim, like the Gemara says. Number two, in these countries people wear hats, so therefore it's considered a makam mechusa beguf, which you have to cover. These two reasons might not apply today in the United States. And the third reason is a kicker that the Alter Rebbe is Machadish. That today it's a common staple to see the difference of a Jew and a goy. A yarmulke.
Even in Germany, they give it out.
In Germany, exactly. A yarmulke. When the goyim want to demonstrate to solidarity with the Jew, so a few thousand goyim come out with yarmulkes. So the yarmulke is a staple of a yid. So a yid that takes off the yarmulke, when a goy makes a demonstration, he puts on a yarmulke. It means I'm a Jew. I'm in solidarity with the Jew. Says the Alter Rebbe, so when he takes off the yarmulke, it means I'm solidarity with the goy. So that's b'chukasem like the leichel. When it becomes in style that all the Yidden wear yarmulkes and the goyim go begilui rosh, so now it's an obligation for Yid to wear a yarmulke. It's an interesting thing.
What about covering with another hat?
Well, it's kosher as long as the head is covered. As long as the head is covered.
Why the Pope wears one?
So the interesting shaila here is.
Red one, right?
In many things in Yiddishkeit, when you encounter someone and they ask you a question about Judaism, you're going to start telling him this whole pilpul the Alter Rebbe, the first reason, second, the third. By the time you're halfway through the first one, especially with a guy who's attacking you on the Egged bus, you lost the guy. You lost him. This is not the shaila is that this guy do the right thing. So I have a Moedidika thing. I think he did the right thing. Why? We find there's an interesting Rambam, not one, but maybe 7, 8 places. The Rambam, for example, it says in this week's Parsha, last week's Parsha, Ervas bas bitchoy, bas bincha, bas bitchoy loy tegala. The Rambam says, and many times he uses this pasuk. The Rambam, for example, the Rambam says, how do you know you're not allowed to eat basa b'cholim? The Rambam says simple. It says, loy savash, you're not allowed to cook milk and meat. Well, obviously, if you can't cook it, you can't eat it. The Rambam says, I have an ayah. The pasuk says, you're not allowed to marry your daughter's daughter. The Torah never says not allowed to marry your daughter, because if you can't marry your daughter's daughter, obviously you can't marry your daughter. The Rambam brings it maybe in Yad HaChazaka 7, 8 times. We had it recently in Hilchos Tumah. The Meforshim all ask, where did the Rambam pick up this thing? If you learn the Gemara, if you even learn Chumash Rashi, you know that the Gemara spent 3 dafim in Kol HaBoser trying to figure out. And the Zerayas from Psukim, Kal V'choymek, Zereshava, Psukim, to prove that it's also to eat Basa B'chol. The Torah only says you're not allowed to cook. The Torah says it 3 times. But Rambam, he didn't learn the whole Talmud. The guy, she's very simple. What are you, a dumbbell? You don't realize if the Torah says. If the Torah says you can't cook it, obviously you can't eat it. If the Torah says you can't marry your granddaughter, you can't marry your daughter. But the Gemara doesn't say it. Where did the Rambam pick it up? So the Yad Malachi says that the Rambam tries to simplify things, and since Afidin is no nafkamina, it's also to eat basa b'chol. We all agree, right? So you learn it from Makal V'choymer, from Gzeirashav, from Binyanad, Mekosavech, from Mishnei Ksuvim, from here, from there. What's the difference? It's also to eat basa b'chol. We all agree. The Rambam wanted to bring a pasuk that's very straightforward and logical and good. The Chasal say the Pesach, which is a pelvic thing. Whatever it says, we learn from here an interesting thing. That we learn 2 things. On the one hand, in the times that, so why didn't the Talmud do it? Why didn't the Talmud do it? So the Rebbe says, because the Rambam writes that in his generation, which was so many years after the Talmud, maybe 600, 700 years after the Talmud, that the Yidden had so many tzoras, and it was so hard. It was Yidden were suffering tremendously at that time. And now it's hard for a Yid to make a living, and to learn the whole Talmud and to get the halachas out of the Talmud is very complicated. And Rambam says, I'm going to make a simple sefer that a Yid can learn all the halachas.
Right.
He learns 3 parakim a day, or 1 pedic a
That
day. in 3
Hadgama,
years,
he writes it.
you know the whole Torah, kol Torah kula. The Rambam says, I must simplify because people have to go to work 6 days a week. People are working 5 days a week. People don't have that much time to learn the whole Talmud, and therefore I have to simplify things. So, because this is no nafkamina in din from where we learn it, and he wants us, it's geshmak. This way you learn the kavachoyim at Zereshava. It's like very, makes sense. Torah says you're not allowed to marry your granddaughter. Obviously not your daughter. Torah says not to cook basal chalul. Obviously not to eat it. The Gemara spends more time that because the Gemara wants to learn it not only al pi pshat. The Gemara wants to show you al pi remez, al pi derush. Chassidus will show you al pi soid. But the Rambam wanted to simplify it on the lowest level of pshat because he's going to the lowest common denominator. So we see from here a mahalach, an interesting, and the Rebbe said from here a lesson of Avodas Hashem. The Rebbe had spoke then, and it was a Shabbos Fabrengi, and the Rebbe said that we can learn a lesson from his brother's Yortzeit. Was on Shabbos in Yud Gimel that there's a Yisrael and Ar Yaleib is like the avoid of tzaddikim and balei tshuva. Yisrael is a tzaddik. Yisrael, Ar Yaleib is a treif animals. Avoid of balei tshuva. The connection of Achirim Ois Kedoshim is the Yid does avoid of a tzaddik and balei tshuva at the same time. He does Torah. He does all Torah mitzvahs like a tzaddik, but the chayes of a balei tshuva. And then the Rebbe said that if someone doesn't want to learn this lesson from my brother's name, he can learn it from the Parsha Achirim Ois. If he doesn't like it from there, learn it from a Musa Sefer. What's the difference? Just like the Rambam. Just learn the lesson. The Ikar is the lesson. So when we see from here an interesting thing, that the Ikar is, you want to teach someone about Judaism. You start telling him the technical, perfect, correct answer according to the Talmud, and you're going to lose the person because the person is not going to, he's not a keli to understand such things. So therefore you tell him a simplified answer, which is true. The Torah says you have to wear a kippah. Where does the Torah say? The Torah says you have to listen to Chazal, and it says in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. So therefore, so the Eibusha said you have to wear a kippah. What? It's not true. It's true. The Eibusha says you have to wear a kippah. Yandik, case closed. Oh, you want to know more details? The Eibusha says we should listen to the Chazal. Chazal said wear a kippah. Why Chazal said kippah? Come to Beis Medrash. We'll learn when you have time. Tell me when you have time.
About to.
Yeah, tell me when you have an hour. We'll sit down. We'll learn. Maybe Sunday morning after breakfast.
Rabbi, I was once in Belgium about 6 years ago. My sister lived there, in the airport, away Yamaka, and a lot of Yemenite there. And a guy came to me speaking Arabic. He thought I'm Yemenite. I said, I don't speak English. I live in America. He said, oh, I'm sorry. Because they were also Yamaka.
Yeah.
You know, the big Yamaka they were.
Yeah.
And he saw me with big black. I don't know.
But you can speak Arabic.
But I didn't want to show him.
The Rebbe says in the Sikha to stun them. When somebody has such a clipper, you can't just talk to him nicely. You have to break the clipper. So when these guys screamed at him back and I told him what it is,
Yes,
so he did 2 things at the same time.
You just added a pasuk in the Torah that wasn't there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, chutzpah with chutzpah, that's all.
Last Shaila. If doubt ben behemoth toidu l'tmeya, it says in the end of the parsha. Yeah.
The guy that even stopped.
Are you trying to connect the first story to the second?
No.
Rabbi.
Oh.
What?
He's connecting the first story to the
No,
second.
we're talking about Yamakas.
No, because the Binyamin are Yeminis and the Yemenites are Yeminis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now you'll have to connect the third one. Someone called me Thursday night. He asked Azoy. The kids of the Shaila is he wants to know if he can make. He's in the food industry, and he wants to know if he could make a shidduch between 2 goyim to sell treifa food if it's mutter.
You mean to get a condition?
Yeah.
You won't be involved.
He's just making a shidduch between the 2 goyim. He's making the shidduch between 2 goyim to sell.
Pastor Bechal.
Huh?
Once I went with a friend from Argentina
Not
to
also
sell
them.
something in the market. So I went, the guy says, I don't want what you sell, but I need snails, the guy says. So snails, yeah, so he was able to get them for him. So I looked at Shulchan Aruch and it says that
Right.
if you just get a commission, you're allowed to. But Rabbi Heller told me not to do it. So I need to anything to do with that.
So let's quickly, because the time is out. Kosa b'Shulchan Aruch Yeridea, Siman Kuf Yud Zayin Sif Aleph. Kol davar she'osam in HaTorah, afa pi shemutar b'anoah. Any food that's osam in HaTorah, even though it's mutar b'anoah, it's not possible b'cholov. It's nevela treifa, it's chazer. Imu davar miyuchid l'maychel, osam lasses b'schayra la'al b'slav. Afila l'knoisei, la'achila l'poyel of goyim asur. You're not allowed to, if it's cheaper. Rachmana l'tzlan, you have nursing homes all over New York. See the chevre mazitz in the mikveh, and the Yoshev Roish, and then Größe Balet Stokke. They're serving tarfas now.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And there's Yiddish people there.
Witness.
So that's the worst. But what they don't realize is, even l'shitosam, there's these are Yidden van goyim. Even if these Yiddens are goyim, you're not allowed to feed your goyish worker tarfas. You're not allowed to buy treifa food and feed it to your goyish employees or your goyish whatever it is, because the Yid is not allowed to buy tarfas. Came out to came the mashram agos mamonius v'chulu kutzmin achelev. Chelev is one exception. Shenemer bo yosel chol malocha. Even this damnu l'tzayit chayim bo v'dogim t'meim. If it happens to be that he caught a few treifa, the chemishin is damnu lo leveil treifa bebeisli. Mutter l'machim v'vat shel eskaven l'kaven. There's a beautiful tshuva from Tzemach Tzedek, a guy that bought from the port. It's the right to go fishing. And what's with it? Someone says that if the Ika Kavana is to catch a kosher fish and he catches treifa fish, he could sell it. Because the Ika Kavana is he wants. But there was a guy, it was many years ago, I think it was Chicago, but it was in Baltimore. He bought a 7-Eleven or a gas station, and he asked the Shaila, is he allowed to sell all the expert treifa sandwiches and stuff in the store? So he was told, yeah, you can sell, but you're not allowed to get another shipment of it. Whatever's already there, Bakroi, you could finish selling it, but to buy another shipment of treifa sandwiches, also
That's a question of kiss on kiss.
doesn't matter. But tzarich lamochna miyan v'lo yamtin at shiti shmeina etzloi. V'cheimuta likvus dvorim tameim b'chayva min agoy gav v'kamatfol miyodam v'osel limka l'goy nevela v'cheskes. K'sheira v'chol dova shein isur elam divrei muta lasa v'schoyra. If it's also divrei, then so it's chol vakum. So if you want to give as a gift chol vakum chocolates to a goy that's working for you, or to whatever it is in your workplace that you want to give chol vakum chocolates, so that's it's even in the worst scenario case, and it could be to some people that say so, but even if it's taka chol vakum, but it's isa divreim, so you're allowed to make schayra with it.
Somebody gives you
If
If the guy owes you, he owes you money.
it's very,
Yeah,
you give it to you,
you can put a lien on his
know
store
doesn't keep
and
all
take
the
away
stuff.
his store. Go do that.
Even though you're taking out
Even
trades.
if
Even though you
So it
take,
depends
you
who-
can take away. The guy owns a boarhead truck.
What is he matzah b'yod? What's the law?
Because your matzah,
Your matzah
Here it doesn't
right?
happen. That
Well,
kind of
that's
does.
the law.
That's what
It's
it
an
means.
expression.
Yeah.
Matzah liyad is an expression. Anytime you're taking away money from a goy which belongs really to you, it's
that's-
called matzah liyad.
Even if it's trade.
Even if it's chazan,
Why do we make an exception for there?
because
You're not allowed to have
the
any halacha.
pashtus is it's Issa Rabbanon. The Rabbanon said we're scared that the Yid is going to have in his possession, and accidentally someone's going to come to eat from
Digest
it.
it, right?
So over here, I guess the Chazal, one of the two reasons, either because Chazal said that here, if you're not going to be mated it, it's like a lot of things Chazal, like Shabbos. Chazal said we're going to be makel for a person that's out in the Rosh Hashanah and he has a keys with money, and we're going to be makel. He's allowed to as the goy. Why? Because we're
Otherwise,
scared. Same thing could be here. Where Chazal said a person, the goy owes me $100,000. I could easily go to court and put a lien on his store and take it away. But what do I have there? The merchandise. Merchandise is all today for food. So now it's going to make it'll be a difficult thing on my chest. So Chazal said, you know what, we want to make it easier for.
So he gets rid of it right away.
Yeah, he has to get rid of it right away. The Zadarki Tshuva brings from the Yad Yitzchak the Sher Lameshev an interesting shaila. There was a Yid that used to get somewhere in Hungary. He used to get paid for every like a little amount of money. But he was an inspector. Every chaza, every cow that was killed in that town, he has to inspect for if the cow is healthy. They didn't want to have whatever diseases.
Mad cow.
Right, they want a mad cow. So he asked if he's allowed to do it, and they said for sure you're allowed to because you don't own the chaza. You don't own the treifa cow. You don't own the tmeya. It's just that you're a doctor, a vet, and you're checking it and you're saying that it's healthy and you get paid for each one, but say that it's mutter for you. So I would say, l'chayran, this is the case. He's not buying or selling. He's just making a shidduch. He's getting a shat chonas guilt, like a shatchan. He made a shidduch. Elamai, usually a shotgun gets made, gets paid for making a shidduch between a good Jewish boy and a good Jewish girl. And he made a shidduch between two goyim.
Mamish Marsov pikuach nefesh. Because if they eat a diseased cow, people will die. And it's not dead yet, is it? Is it after Shabbat? If they get shechted or before?
He got paid before, but it's iker. You're only allowed to.
They're alive.
Doesn't matter. Only allowed to sell live cattle if that cattle is being used to ride. But if a Jew is not allowed to sell live cattle if it's being used only for shechting as pay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's allowed to sell it if they're going to go to a kosher butcher. And some will be, some, so, because that's not a big,
That's another pellet.
it's a very
It's in the
significant
shmuz,
thing.
here.
It's, you know what?
You said it's only the Rabbanan
Right.
not to be able to. And so here it's two. It's removed twice.
It's a very strict issur. Some isur that Rabbanan are very. Some sefer holds it's issur deraisa. This to do schoire be isur Michael. It's a very chumra dikis, and we see Chazal very machmir.
How about only stock in Costco?
Oh, so this is my last shiloh today. I'm sorry we went over the time.
Oh,
how could you have?
Well, having a membership.
They have good stock, but the shiloh is are you allowed
And you
to have
own stock here.
because they stock a lot of tarfas.
A lot of times.
Yeah, but if you're a
And you're not
member,
to-
does that only
That's why it's
stock?
all Chinese over there.
Well, McDonald's, all these
Or in
things.
a bank that's
Well,
not
McDonald's
the
is
same thing.
down
What?
I was trying to stay with a good stock.
No, there's this
What do you mean?
Costco's owned by you.
The stock is up now.
He says stock in
McDonald's
McDonald's, you're
going
alive.
Oh, he
That's
says when
going down the
it.
drain.
Okay, so the shiloh is.
Oh, he has
so
it in.
the Tzidus Ha'omer, I think it's the same shiloh like this. It's I don't think, and you need to have a complex understanding of stocks, which I don't. But I don't think that stocks is a shutfus. It's not a shutfus. The corporation was incorporated. McDonald's was incorporated 150 years ago, 125 years ago. Whoever was signed on that corporation when they filed the papers, they are the owners of the business.
Mr. Kroc. Mr.
Huh?
Kroc.
Great crap.
He sold it.
Mela, they are. You are not a shutef in McDonald's, b'chlal.
Yeah,
But
but
you have, even
Don't
if
you
you had
have
a
to
lot of
say-
stock and you had a little bit of say, even if your name was Mr. What's it called?
you don't have to sell
No,
the
Hustle on his
Say
own.
that
It
you're
You
more
don't
than
have to sell
them,
the
you're
non-
allowed
doesn't
to-
matter. It doesn't matter if you own stock, even if you have a voice. I don't think the pshat is that you're a shutef in
But
the burgers and you're a shutef in the
No,
in
but
Costco, the
still.
shrimp and the tarfis or the nevela, the treifa that is hanging there in the freezer. You are
But-
not a shutef in that. You're
If
not a
you-
shutef in the
if you own
corporation.
stock in Krispy
Definitely
Kreme, you don't
you
have to
have
sell
less than
enough
51%.
from Hammond.
Definitely has to be that you have less than 51%.
And
If
I'm
you
not
have
even.
51%,
Well, for sure you have
it's
less than
yours.
51%.
No one's sitting over here and
With 51%.
You still get to help sell enough from Hammond.
But the term shares.
No, he wouldn't be sitting here
You're
now.
sitting in a bigger.
We would be sitting
bigger
here
show.
all weekend learning.
Yes.
Like Warren Buffett selling his comments over there.
Oh, look, if you own stock, for sure you should sell it on chametz. Every dog that sells a chametz writes mal yusa. But what happens if a person didn't sell their chametz? Do you say that now they have to go sell that stock that they have
In
all
Krispy
food?
Kreme. Or Krispy Kreme.
I don't think really
Best
that a
owner.
person that owns
No,
stock is a
Krispy
shut.
Kreme at the Jewish.
For sure, there is there's a thing of like there are today mutual funds and stocks that have a thing, social consciousness. They won't invest in companies that Rahman al-Islam do business with Israel. Yeah,
BDS.
BDS. So
BDS, yeah.
a person could say there's nothing wrong that a person
Or
will say
behemoths in
I'm not
certain
going
ways.
to invest in certain companies that their whole thing is isure achila, but sometimes it's impossible to say that because if you're invested in any big thing, if you work and you have a retirement fund or anything that is any mutual fund that has an index for many stocks, they're not asking you if they should buy McDonald's or not. They're asking you any Sheilos. Yeah, it's not a bad idea for a Yid that's investing a huge amount of money, just like Lahavdillah of Havdolas, that they're going to Asoni Yisrael, and in the name of helping humanity, they're trying to influence Goyim in this world to divest themselves from Israel. So it makes sense that a Yid shouldn't go and invest a huge amount of money in a stock which is Isuri Achila. But to say that if you have a little bit of stock somewhere in McDonald's, that it's also, I don't think, you're not a shutef. You're nobody there. You have a dividend, shabba dividends. I don't think it's
You
also.
can't go and get free stuff.
One second. So the Indian is that you have violence over it?
You have to have Bibles.
I
I think the
still
Bibles
own-
are
still
still
own
own the
getting
corporation. I don't know what you own. So
Yeah.
you're not a
McDonald's,
shutef in the
Burger King,
corporation. You're a shutef in something,
But
but
you're
not in the
helping, but you're being
corporation.
on
You're helping.
shrimp.
I have to go
You're
to Farm
helping
Heights.
the
Let's
shrimp.
see
Yeah,
every
shrimp.
That's
every
why-
visit, go to the corner of Empire.
Yeah.
Let's see every.
You don't have a
You don't know which to go into first. Or
They
something.
say that if a butterfly
The main
butterfly
business,
can flap
yeah,
its wings in Siberia and affect
Get the welfare money.
the weather in Australia.
For sure.
You know that?
Food stamps.
I'm saying, so if a Yid buys stock in shrimp in Europe, maybe he's helping the shrimp in Alaska.
$1.99.
Conscious level that he shouldn't think to invest big money. But I have to say that because of the flip side would be you have to
big or
take
small?
that. You don't have to dump your stock tomorrow. No,
No,
because
my
that's
son owns Shake Shack.
Called the
He
suicide
owns-
story.
he has stock in Shake Shack. He says, but he doesn't have enough because there shouldn't. So,
What's in
but
it?
you say, look, really, you should see there. It's only
If
food.
you use a burger inside.
Also, Shake
Bacon,
Shack.
bacon.
Yeah, they call it suicide.
That's a great stock.
There's not enough.
what do they sell?
Just burgers and shakes. And like cake.
Maybe it's at Checkers.
So everyone is jam-packed all over New
New
York.
place.
What's the name?
Somebody told me
Shake
about it.
So,
But
Shakes,
the
like
concept of a
milkshakes.
share.
well, the milkshakes are not Isurei.
They're listed as former
Right. And they're not cooking it together.
The burgers are Isurei. That's Nevela. It's Nevela. It's no question. Some people say the
They
burgers.
probably make cheeseburgers.
That's even worse. That's Isurei Anoah. But even without the cheese on the burger, that's Isurei Achila.
Right.
I don't think it's a problem. But you have to ask some members that.
But is it
Well,
Midas Hasidus to not to do it?
I would say Chassidus Sheba Chassidus, not Midas Chassidus.
Oh.
I would say it's Midas
Isn't
Chassidus
the
Sheba
concept of a
Chassidus.
share splitting up a corporation into many partners?
That's what I
No,
So that's
no, I don't
shares,
think so.
no?
No. As much as I don't understand how shares work, I think that that's a misconception that you own a part of the company.
Raising capital, it's a way of raising capital
Yeah,
and
it's-
dividing the
it's-
profits of it.
Yeah, that you're not a shooter. I don't think
Let's
legally you
let's
should.
make it simple. There comes a guy and he says, I want to open a non-kosher restaurant. And he needs money. And comes a Yid and he says, I want to make money.
Oh,
And he gives him
no,
money, 51% of the share.
no,
The guy starts the
no.
company, you give him 51%, buy 51%
No,
of the share because he
also-
needs money.
That's Lahal V'Salom.
You're
That's
right.
Lahal
You're
V'Salom.
London.
There are Yidden that do it, unfortunately, they don't realize. It's also. It's also Gomer. The money is good, but it's also
What
Gomer.
about renting your store to a Shake Shack?
No, that's not a problem. That's your
Explain,
landlord. A
explain
landlord
the
is a landlord.
Why aren't you being able to say
It's not
yeah?
investing
Because-
in the business.
No, I'll explain to you.
But what about Messiah and
No,
Varavera?
it's not Messiah because that's not Cheluk. They're not a Veda. It's a special Gzeira. Chazal didn't want that Tarfus should be in your possession. The difference is like this.
They're not
If you
doing
take-
it Aveda.
If they take a loan from you,
Come some
so
place.
you have like a lien on the merchandise. So if they don't pay you, you're one step away from the merchandise in
I
your
got it.
pocket. When you are the landlord and you're not one step away. You have to go to court and take a lien. Then you're matzal liyodim.
And by then the
It's a different
food
thing.
is all spoiled.
But then even if it was a freezer, then it would have the din of the
Hey, when that
matzal
happens,
liyodim. You're too far from the. You don't have
Got
an
it,
ownership.
I got it.
But how much love your? Okay.
What about the church? Are you
Huh?
allowed to have a tenant as a church then?
A church tenant?
In the building?
It's a separate.
Of course, as long-
chapter.
as
It's
long as
not
you
to
let-
do with this. I
Come
don't know.
after the shiur.
If you let the toilets overflow.
Somebody tell me.
No, what about the
Doesn't sound
apartment
like a
building
big
down
thing. I have to
there?
Think about it.
Apartment building is
We'll
ocean
do
and,
another
okay,
thing on
ocean
that.
and.
But it's nothing to do with this.
Jay,
shack.
the price like you living there,
Marsov
but also has like
Ocean,
huge.
Jay.
Also for a while, they had a nice picture of the notary right outside.
Yeah, on
An ocean Joe.
yeah, it has.
Yeah, they took the picture down, but they still have the sign to say have a
Obviously,
meeting
the real
for.
reason is because we know a local
Meeting for
Sinai,
heaven.
that that's the way it is.
Post facto, we just know.
We
in the
know,
basement.
not post.
For a while, they had a
The other way
huge
around.
picture of the
Torah
notary
came
right
with the
there.
Torah Shabbat
Oh, with
there.
the Malva, okay.
And it was told that's the way it is.
Just like it's in Rashi, it's for you.
The Yidden, that's what we understand is the real true reason. When the Yidden in Har Sinai when they heard after the Moshe Rabbeinu came down and he taught him the Torah,
Yeah.
the Pirush Nitnu. So when he said Lo Yisavach Shel Gedi, he said those words, and then he said, now I'll explain the post. You should know they're not allowed to cook, and he explained all the halachas.
How did that turn into chicken and rice farts and fish?
That's exactly what I want. It's a separate thing. That's exactly. And fish is a health reason.
Listen, downtown broken sheep, that
Fish
all
that's
the
cheese.
the Rabbi
They
of
call it
one of the schools,
only fish and milk.
We learned that. We learned in Halacha.
Downtown Brooklyn.
Even sheep.